President Biden telling reporters while getting his booster shot just how many Americans need to get the vaccine to beat COVID-19. Our fact-check team taking a look at just what the experts say is the path to normalcy.
Megan, the question many want answered is, what's the number? Is there a number? What percentage of the country needs to get vaccinated in order to lift the pandemic restrictions we've come to know? Here's what President Joe Biden said just yesterday.
97, 98%. I think we're awful close. But I'm not the scientist. I think, but one thing for certain, a quarter of the country can't go unvaccinated, and us not continue to have a problem.
The fact-check team joining me now to make an important clarification here on the president's statement. He was referring to the vaccination rates for some industries and some schools where they've managed to hit those high 95, 96% vaccination marks.
And again, the president did say and admit that he was not a scientist when answering that reporter's question. The Mayo Clinic says experts estimate that in the U.S., 70% of the population would have to recover from COVID-19 for us to reach herd immunity. Now, I also was reading an interview with a public health professor, and he said previously researchers thought it would be 60 to 70% of the population, but with more easily transmissible variants like Delta, that number is now 80%. But no medical experts have said a percentage as high as what the president said.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has been outspoken about this, citing variants such as Delta, what we're experiencing now, John, as a primary reason why some of the percentages and COVID policies we've seen back and forth on this.
Right, and Dr. Fauci's been pretty transparent about this. He admits that we've moved the goalpost a number of times in terms of sometimes it was 60, then we ended up at sort of a 90% range. And, you know, a few months ago, he said in an interview with Axios that the real number wasn't even known. I want to show a couple of numbers that we have in terms of our current vaccination rate here in the United States. Adults with at least one dose, we're at 76%. Adults with both doses comes down a little bit, we're at around 67%. And then when we expand that out to all ages, both of those numbers come down pretty significantly.
John and Janae here with the Fact Check team. Stay with us. When we return, investigating the science behind wearing a mask outdoors and the policies in place that require it in some places. That's coming up later from the Fact Check team.
Major racing event in California calling into question the effectiveness of mask mandates in outdoor settings. And the Fact Check team gives us an update on this story along our southern border.
Tonight, we are investigating the science behind masking up outdoors, and John and Janae here are investigative producers. You guys started looking into this after hearing about this outdoor race taking place in California that requires participants to wear a mask while competing.
Yeah, so in San Francisco, they just held its annual marathon. Runners were required to wear masks for portions of the race. Now, take a look at this map of the route. So the sections outlined in blue, that's where the participants had to wear masks or could have faced fines or even disqualification. Now, those areas are located in the National Park Service's territory. NPS has a nationwide mask mandate requiring masks indoors and in outdoor areas in what they call crowded spaces. So all throughout the race, athletes were consistently putting their masks back on and then taking them off.
Which certainly begs the question about the effectiveness of these policies when those athletes are dealing with that on and off situation during the race. Janae, thank you for that.
Our Fact Check team digging into mask mandates on federal land and what the science says about catching COVID outside. The team has come through multiple research studies to separate fact from fiction tonight.
We are back tonight investigating the science behind wearing a mask outdoors and some of the policies in place that require just that. So, John, we know outdoor transmission of COVID-19 generally very low. Now, you've been researching tonight to get some reference points on that.
Right. I think a lot of us have gotten pretty used to looking at statistics to sort of understand the threat of COVID-19 in certain situations. But I want to focus on a specific study that was in the Safety Science Journal. It talked about situations like beer gardens, outdoor cookouts, and indoor-outdoor settings like patios. Now, they clearly stated that mask-related policies might have other broader public health implications, but they found that places like crowded outdoor markets, metro stations, or train and bus stops had higher levels of transmission, and they found that that was based on the crowd density. That was what was actually causing it, not the location itself, right? And so even sans mask, most outdoor locations had significantly lower levels of COVID transmission, something like 18 times lower levels of COVID transmission. Makes a thing like a busy walkway much safer.
Some important context there when you look at the number of people involved, not just this outdoor-indoor setting here. Janae, you looked at some discrepancies in how some places are putting policies in place. For instance, the National Park System. They have an outdoor mask policy.
Yeah, so I've been emailing them and calling them, the National Park Service, about their national mask mandate that requires folks to wear masks in crowded outdoor areas. Now, I specifically asked them what science is being used to inform their decision for an outdoor mandate. They told me the latest science. They went on to say, quote, even in the outdoors, some park areas, overlooks, or trails may be crowded or narrow, and physical distancing may not be possible. Visitors should be prepared with the mask if they cannot keep 6 feet from others, and always hike smart. They also tell us that folks who violate the requirement may be subject to citations.
And for some further information, you went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT.
Yeah, and what MIT Medical says, and you're going to see that on your screen, even with the more transmissible Delta variant, fleeting outdoor interactions like passing someone on the street or on a bike path carries negligible risk.
John and Janae, thank you so much. That is the latest on our Fact Check team assignment tonight. When we return, we look at a popular West Coast race forcing some participants to mask up outside during a competition.